speculated, his name is Kuyper, and he speculated something in effect of there can be nothing like that out there that far out. And I think. I could be entirely wrong. Is this not even on?
Oh, is it turned up?
It seems to be up. This doesn't seem to be working.
Oh,
What did
okay.
I do? I might have done something. I think. I could be entirely wrong, but it's like, well, we thought there was something there,
you probably stepped on the button here.
That's just me. Blah. That's be mean that way. I'm violent that way. Hi. So I have no idea, but it's nice to hear that there are astronomers in my history somewhere. Whether or not they were aware of it. But then again, Einstein couldn't think of some things that could actually have existed. But that's your time and what you know and understand and whatnot. I love reading element poems. I was going to share with you two, and I will ask in between them for a request, and I'll try to find one if I get something other than a trivia that I couldn't find. I don't know why I couldn't find it, I think. But this one is an odd-sounding one, and it's Selenium. I have wanted all of them dead. There's no one else I can say this to, but I've had this overwhelming desire for I don't know how long to see them all suffer exorbitant pain as they all suffer to their last breath. It's been, I've been thinking about it, and I've been researching ways to extract my vengeance and commit my final solution. It has to be something scientific, something methodical, something so complicated and convoluted that no one would ever suspect me. There's no way I can get uranium rods from the nuclear power plant. I saw my last road trip these things, but I can't get that. There's no way I can get into the Fermi lab nearby where they discovered radioactive plutonium to get trace amounts of neptunium or plutonium, because spent or not, these trace amounts of these radioactive elements could still be injected into their food, slipped into their spray, shot into their shampoo, and they would know no wiser. They'd never know it even hit them. So after I scoured the radioactive elements in the periodic table that are used in nuclear weaponry, I glanced back toward the top of the table and saw selenium. Wait a minute. I remember an episode of CSI where the actress, who was a character in Melrose Place, who was one of the women in Desperate Housewives, conspired with another woman when one of them would marry a rich man, and they would poison him with selenium until he died, leaving one of them with a hefty sum of money to share with their female conspirators. Okay. Time for some research. Selenium, when discovered, they noted the similarity of selenium to the previously known tellurium, named for the Earth, which is why it was named for the Greek mythology Selene, an archaic lunar deity. Although selenium is used today primarily in glass making and in pigments, it's also a semiconductor, with selenium's unusual ability to conduct electricity. But the light went off when I read that selenium salts are toxic in large amounts. But here's the key. Trace amounts are necessary in all animals. This reminded me of that CSI episode where this red-headed actress worked with horses, which justified their need for selenium in their lives for their horses. Because although selenium is an essential trace element, excess amounts can be toxic. More than 400 micrograms per day can lead to selenosis. Acute oral exposure to selenium can lead to pulmonary edema and lung lesions, cardiovascular effects like tachycardia, gastrointestinal effects like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and don't forget the severe abdominal pains. Selenium ingestion can lead to cirrhosis of the liver, which can cause aches, irritability, chills, even tremors. You know, this element is really starting to look like it could be the way to go for me. Add it to pizzas and garlic bread, since it leaves a garlic odor in the breath, and no one would be the wiser. And the thing is, selenium has an antioxidant mode of action, similar to that of arsenic, which, as I said, is exactly what I'm looking for. Selenium poisoning of water systems has occurred in the past, possibly resulting whenever agricultural runoff course started, because it would be an easy way to get it into everyone's drinks as well. So now the question for me is how to get it to place it into their food supply. I know some is needed for people to have a selenium, because people might have a selenium deficiency, especially for patients with cancer or AIDS. And if it's needed for animals, I even read a case where animals were given the wrong injection levels of selenium, causing mass horse deaths in a polo tournament. Actually happened in a polo tournament. Can you believe that one? A quick Google search for purchasing selenium led me to many sites with a no prescription needed to get exactly what I was looking for. The last step in my getting it without having it traced back to me, well, because once I have it, I can use it and get it into their food or drink with no problem. Because, as I said, my overwhelming desire for I don't know how long to see them all suffer exorbitant and inextricable pain before they all suffer to their last breath and finally have their last breath might actually be the key, because selenium can actually make everything come together and no one will be the wiser. Different ways to come up with your selenium. Before I do a last poem, I will ask for, does anybody have a request? And I'll do my best to find it in this book. A number or a thing? Does anybody? Helium?
Helium.
She's got helium. I did helium, and then I later did one called Helium Addiction. I don't know which one is better, so I'll just go at the beginning of the book because they're listed. This is hydrogen cyanide. I've got bonus ones in here, so you can have. Tritium. All right, I got my helium. This is for you, my darling. This is helium. I couldn't help it. I was attracted to you. You elevated me. You seemed so content, so light, and when I saw you, you looked so hot, like a solar flare. Whenever I see you outside, I feel you penetrating my pores every single day. But I didn't realize that outside like this, we were never truly alone. But being near you made me giddy. I'd even raise my voice whenever I'd come near you. But only now I learn that even though you're hot, you're still colder than anything I've ever touched. So maybe it wasn't your heat that drew me to you. I think you're truly unique, but you tell me you're common even though you're still so hard to find. I'd have to search the universe for you to realize you're not as special as you've led me to believe. So, I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. You have this effect on me whenever you come to me like this. I'm always so tense, but with your low boiling point and the way you connect with me, you've calmed me down and shot me a new perspective. Because of this, I've avoided the fact that we don't really mix well together. Either way, I still hoped you could help me. I mean, you've made me feel like I can fly when I'm with you. I just have to remember that even though every once in a while I can literally breathe you in, a few seconds later, you're gone. And because she picked one that was the second to the first, it was the second one in the periodic table, I am going to pick the second to the last one in the periodic table. I wrote these and they finished in 2015. I believe since then, elements like 1, 16, 17, and 18 have names now. But when I wrote this, they didn't have names. So this is the second to last one. I don't know what the name is for now because I gave up on thinking about the names after I wrote these. But this one is called Ununseptium. I have to put on an accent for this. I have to get ready. I knew you were out there for years. But to get you, after toiling in my Dubna lab, we had to ask the Americans over in Tennessee if they could send us some of their wares. But years passed before I could get 22 milligrams of berkelium so that I could work in Moscow Blast just to get you into my sights. All that time, all I could do was research, hope, and work. I'd go and I'd stand on my own, and I'd leave on my own, wondering how long it would take for me to see what you might actually be like. You see, I used to work in a pharmacy in Nevsky Prospekt in Leningrad. That's when I fell in love with learning about chemicals, and that's when I wanted to discover something truly new. And that's when you came into my sights. Because after years of work, I still waited for those damn Americans to come through for us. I mean, we are scientists. We are supposed to be on the same side. And it took all this time, and after all this discovery, the thing is, the higher we get in our research, the more stable we get on our little island of knowledge. But this waiting was exasperating. It got to the point where I got tired of trying to tell myself I had something to discover, something to share, and something anyone wanted to hear. Eventually, they had to ship what I needed to get you in 5 packages wrapped in lead. It flew back and forth from the Atlantic 5 times, and it was rejected twice by customs. But once I finally got what I needed, oh, you were just about the heaviest thing I could imagine. Then again, you had me spinning around over for years for you, so it wouldn't surprise me if you would do the same for me, too. So I'd work while listening to the radio, and the active interactions from you would come to me in short bursts. But I'd take whatever I can get in my little corner of the world. This is research. This is what I do to learn what I can from you. Thank you. That was awesome.